So what's up, Mr. Tapilatu? How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. As we just said before I hit record, missing training, missing teaching, but hopefully we're getting closer to when we can go back doing that again.
Yeah, here in Holland, we're in the north. We are luckily that didn't hit us too hard comparing to the south of Holland. And of course, our gym is close by my house. So when I do the online training, I will go up there, set stuff up, like you do, and put on my gear, and then training, and that keeps me quite fit. If you do a lot of online training almost every day, and then sometimes 2 times a day. So for me, it's a new start also to work out a little bit more than normally. You only do training, but only teaching training, but now train also. So for me, yeah, getting in shape a little bit better. Same as my friend Tim Cole.
Yeah.
He said also, everything good from this is that you get in shape. But who do you show your Corona body? To nobody.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all is going online. So I train a little bit in the gym. So that's it for now.
What has the response been like from your members? Have you got a good response to the online classes?
It's difficult because I will do the online classes sometimes at 6, sometimes at 7, and it's during this corona crisis, everybody's got a different kind of structure in the households. Kids are at home, people not working are working, coming back and have dinner together. So the most of the classes I will run is the kids from 4 o'clock, and then up to the seniors till 7 on a Wednesday. But on other days, it's just from 6 till 7. I do the kickbox classes or the taekwondo classes. So it differs with the people attending, but the reactions are good because you will see the kids are happy to practice taekwondo again, and after a while, you know, they forget also things. So it's also good that they that you remember of the stances, the pronouncements in Korean and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like that you want to keep some engagement, and not when you get back to properly teaching that you're starting from scratch again. You want to kind of keep some bit of knowledge.
I think they don't want to start with stress again, so they got all stress again to go to trainings. But now the kids are doing good. The seniors, juniors doing good. So I'm a happy Sabu.
Nice. So we'll go right back to you. Think how did you actually get started in Taekwondo and martial arts?
Before I started martial arts, I was doing gymnastics. So like my niece Tyra and Tiara also started, and also my sister Bianca started with gymnastics. So that was a good, solid start for the martial arts. And then I have to go way back, man. It's like 1980. I started with Taekwondo. I was like 8 years old, something like that. My dad was training that time at Grandmaster Boss. Grandmaster Boss is his school, and I was always walking up and down the stairs and was looking and training. Then Grandmaster Boss said, "Isn't time that you come and train?" So I said, "Maybe." I do gymnastics. I said I was happy, you know. And then after a few times, he asked again. Then I asked my father, "Can I train?" You know. And before that, Grandmaster Boss and my father trained with a teacher named Saifir, and they trained together over there. And I was like 5 or 6 years old. Was my first Taekwondo class there. Well, I liked it. Then 2 years later, I joined with my father. My father already joined Grandmaster Boss. I joined the kids classes with Grandmaster Boss. At that time, my father was also a teacher over there from the kids classes. So 8 years old, 1980, started back. So
it runs through the family.
Yeah, it runs through the family, and my sister joined later, and my cousins also. So in the end, we were a lot of Tapilatus doing Taekwondo. And obviously, you know, Grandmaster Boss left for Italy. And that time, my father put up his own school, and from there we did. Of course, my father was the national coach of the Dutch team, From there, we did also the WTF. He coached us through the WTF in the late 80s, early 90s. He said, "Oh, let's try this." And then we did pretty good. We got into the national team of WTF also. My cousin Jingo got to third place on the World Championships in Athens in '91, and I came into the finals and lost from Korea in '91 with the WTF. So for us, we did that time we did very good. We did a lot of we did a lot of competition that time. I already had an interview before, and I told her also. In that time we trained, we had every weekend we could choose between or all-style tournaments like Wako, or we did ITF Taekwondo, or we did WTF, just WT Taekwondo. So every weekend for, I don't know, from we were 16, 17 till almost when I stopped, we had every weekend we can do a tournament. So for us, we sparred with karate, kung fu, pencak silat, that kind of stuff into the late 90s. And in the late 90s, I transferred to kickboxing and MMA.
Yeah, and do you think that helped your kind of your career to be fighting so often, that it wasn't so many big gaps between when you got to step into the ring, you were in the ring, like you said, pretty much, or could be in the ring pretty much every week?
Yeah, that was just a big advantage for us, because at that time we also knew that if you know now, if you have a very very of a lot of competition, you stay sharp. And also when you have a lot of competition, you can test a lot of things. You know, we do in training a lot of things. My father is well known about his structure of fighting. We did he made a system of fighting. We fought in the early 80s and 90s. We did a lot of that. And we could test a lot of things. You know, we could test the WT into the Wako system or the all-style system. And we put our ITF into the WT system, and that kind of things you can work on. You know, you can test. And then you can see what is working and what is not. And that made us, that was a big advantage for us, that we had every weekend, we had so many competition, that we could test so many things that we could put on when we go to nationals or Europeans or worlds. We could implement that very fast and very easy, you know, and it stays sharp. You know, you of course know, when you have a lot of competition, when you go to Euros or Worlds or World Cups or whatever, you're sharp. You know, you don't have to make a big, a training before.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Normally you have 6 weeks preparation. That's what I was looking for. You don't need a lot of preparation. You just need to be sharpened, and that's all.
Yeah, and like I said, it gives you a chance, compete, test your skills, train during the week, and then test it again. You kind of have that constantly testing it. Whereas if you only compete every couple of months, then like it's a long time before you get to test your training. What you've worked on in the training, has it worked? Whereas if you're competing regularly, you get to test. Have you improved? Have what you were working on? Is it actually? Are you actually improving it?
Yeah, but you know, we had also a big advantage. You know, we had a big squad in our school. We had 10 fighters in our school who were on national, European, or world level. So when you test things in the gym and you test them into a competition, we always had good fights in the club. You know, it was also on high level sparring in the club. So when you come to competition, people thought, "Oh shit, those guys again." But what we did was nothing anymore that we did in the gym, in our classes. So you know, for us it was just another day at the job, something like that. You know, we spar. We did on the competition. We spar the same in the club. It was same as hard as it was. It was same bloody as always. It's same in the competition. So for us, it was quite like, okay, it's another sparring day. You know, it's not about the competition. So the pressure to win, there was no pressure to win. You know, there was only a lot of fun. You know, a lot of fun to fight, a lot of fun with everybody. You know, inside, outside the ring, it was just having a good time. That was it all about.
Yeah, and so you kind of had the same environment in the club as maybe like I know over here in Ireland what the kind of squad sessions provide, where you get the best people and success breeds success and iron sharpens iron, that kind of thing. You had that kind of environment every day in the club.
Yeah, yeah. So we trained. It's not that we trained every day. You know, we had for example, we had 3 times a week. We had just normal taekwondo classes. You know, but the rest of the week we just had the special trainings, like we were running or we're doing weightlifting or whatever. That time already, yeah, it was in the early 90s, late 80s, before I became for the first time world champion. We already did a lot of weight training that time, you know, special days with interval trainings and running trainings. My father already did that at that time, you know, so it was not only training taekwondo, but it was also outside. We were training a lot of different kind of things. Even football we played as preparation.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah, yeah,
And
but all with reason.
And what would your, like you said, what would your your father's background have been then? Like, where did he develop the knowledge for the strength training, the interval training? Was that just something he kind of researched and studied himself, or?
Yeah, he did. He almost did all his research. No, he did all his research by himself, you know. And even before we went to the first World Championship, was 1990 Canada, Montreal. He did a massage course for himself, so he could massage me, my sister, and my 2 cousins, because he knew if you train that much, you also need a good how you say? You have to take good care of your body also. You know, you can always train as hard as you want, but if you don't take good care of your body, it will stop one day. It will stop one time. Then he said it's enough. And he took very good care of us by doing that. And also reading into fitness, getting some people. My aunt was that time a fitness instructor. He asked her, and she helped us with it, with that at that time.
And just even go back, like you said, you started with gymnastics. Do you feel that gave you a very good base to step into taekwondo and martial arts? Because you even see people like, I suppose, George St. Pierre, and has took up gymnastics in his career to help prolong and give him a good set. Do you think gymnastics really helped you at the start before we're getting into martial arts?
Yes, I think so, because I can speak from myself that the time I did gymnastics, it developed my skills of I say movement very much, and that made a whole big difference.
Yeah, and so would you have competed? Were you always a sparrer or a fighter, or would you have done some patterns along the way in competition?
I had a interview last week with Master McPhail from New Zealand, and he asked me the same question. He said, I heard that you were once second at European Championships with patterns. I lost from Suska in the finals. It was third degree that time, so that was not bad, huh?
No.
So that was in Riccione. It was on the European Championships. Also that my father asked from us, if you are in the national team, you have to do patterns, you have to do breaking, you have to do special techniques, everything, team pattern, team sparring, everything, you know. So we grew up by doing that. So we developed also some skills in the patterns. And in 1990 on the World Championships, I became world champion sparring, and I had bronze with special techniques. So also,
yeah,
you can say he's a little bit all round.
So when was the first time you competed then at that level, like World Championships, European Championships? When did you first start to compete at that high level?
Which year you were born?
Me, 1995.
95. The first time I was on international level was with the WT at 86 European Championships in Turkey. That was my first big international competition. I was junior at the time. And for the ITF, you were in 1990, Davos, Switzerland, the European Championships. I became European champion. And that same year, 1990, was also the World Championships in Canada. That was really the first time. No, and I'm lying. 1988 or 89 was Pyongyang, North Korea, the World Festival of Youth and Students. That was in North Korea. It was 88 or 89. So from 86, 89, 90. So 10 years before you were born. Makes me old then, huh?
Yeah. So but you got into being you were successful pretty much straight away at that level, though, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Because in Holland, in the Netherlands, we had a big federation with not quite. We all had good fighters. You can imagine if there were juniors, youth, seniors, it was all good. It was all high level, and that high level that we could just jump into European or World Championships. That high level was in Holland. So that was also lucky for us that we had such good competition in the Netherlands itself.
Yeah, and even by the sounds, you've got to go to some nice places there, Montreal and.
Yeah, if you at the time when we did in late 80s, early 90s, there were a lot of open tournaments also. You can go to one of the nicest and the biggest one was also Open Slovenia. We had in Belgium. We had a big tournament where at the time also a lot of Russian countries came. Of course, all the Europeans and World Championships, you travel a lot, and the places you always remember where our crazy things happen. We were twice in Pyongyang. If you've never been to a place like where there's communism, you cannot understand nothing about it, okay? A few years ago, I was in Moscow. It was the same, but Moscow is a little bit now modern. But when you go to Pyongyang, what you see on television, it's real. It's real. People like that. It was like we were flabbergasted when we were there. People respect their leader that much. It's it respect. They adore.
Or fear.
No, I cannot say it's fear. If you don't know, if you brought up like that, if they like some people have a religion, they have their leader. So your religion, you don't fear your religion. You adore or you love your religion. They have the same with their leader. But if you were not there, you cannot imagine how it is, But people who will listen to your podcast and who were in Pyongyang at that time or later or whatever, they will say, you're right. That's the most incredible things in my journey of Taekwondo was Pyongyang, just to see how the people live over there.
Awesome, man. So then, who would have been your your main rivals around that time? Who would have been the top competitors along with you around that early kind of stages when you were fighting at that level?
In my weight class?
Yeah, in your weight class, or maybe even other weight classes. Who would have been the other top names around that time? Because I feel sometimes these kind of people, these names maybe sometimes get forgotten as time goes on. So maybe if you could remind us or remind me anyway, of who would have been the other top people around that time.
Now, in my weight class, I in the early 80s towards the 90s, I fought a lot of early 90s. I started to fight with Tomasz a little bit more. We did a lot of sparring before, but there was never footage of, there was no YouTube or Instagram or whatever. But we fought a lot of bouts, not only on World Championships or European Championships. People know that. But we fought a lot of open championships before that also. Thomas and I think I can say for the rest, because Thomas, I stopped for a while. I think I stopped for 10 years and then I came back not to compete or to coach. And that time, Thomas, of course, did a lot of sparring and did a lot of good marketing for himself. And people know him and people know about us that we already competed early 90s of late 80s till 2000. We were the two in the light division who would dominate, and I don't think that's much often that two people dominate weight class that long. Nowadays we have, of course, Timothy and Julio. You can compare it a little bit the same. That time also before I stepped in was Dennis de Rivera from Puerto Rico. He was that time when my father also fought in the Dutch team. He was that time world champion sparring. world champion patterns, and he was the world champion special techniques. And I don't know if many people know that, you know. And he was that time a big guy from Puerto Rico. I just posted a small video on Instagram from the Morangbong Cup in Tokyo, and that's also he competes there. And also at that time, Paul Germain, till 70 kilos, was a big name. He was one of the people. I saw the first one. It was on a videotape. I saw him. I thought he's incredible. And we tried to do things like that. It was 87 Glasgow Hall World Championships, I think it was, where the Dutch team became world champion. Grandmaster Bos was that time the coach of the team. Those guys, they did a lot of. If you want to really go back, the heavyweights with Henk Meyer, Master Dimitris from Greece, who was a big man. And what I mean with big man is almost 2 meters, huh? That big, that big man. And of course, my father that time. Who we have more? Yeah, the Pierre Guenet at the time also when we fought. Master Ricardo Rairo, he was world champion. Hernan Cisternas. So I can say a lot of more names that time was, you know, guys from Greece were good. You know, we totally different countries were on a high level than you see now.
Yeah, I see. Like you said, I think people like Paul Germain and that sometimes do get forgotten by some of the younger people coming through. But like people who were there, like some OGs of the sport, like who would have been at the top of the game and ahead, maybe ahead of their time in some of the techniques they were throwing at that time. But it can be good to sometimes remember them and see where the sport came from.
Yeah, that's why I posted last week. I posted a small clip also from the Morangbong Cup, and the Morangbong Cup was a competition in Tokyo. It started like just only for the Japanese guys, and then they what they do good, like the K1. They invited all the champions, world champions, to fight with the Japanese guys, and of course. From Japan, there were also good lightweights like Pak Choyong was very good. He came into fight, and of course my good friend also Wang Sul. You know, Wang Sul is one of the guys I lost from the World Championships in '92 in Pyongyang in North Korea. I became second. He became first. He was also one of the guys who was very talented, and also very nice guy, but also very talented. And he was the guy. I don't know if you know this. For the PlayStation, the Tekken 3. There's a how do you say? There's an avatar named Worang, and he was the man from Worang. He showed me a book where he put all the stickers, and they make all the techniques like the Nario Chaki came from Wang Su. That's why his name is Worang on the PlayStation from Tekken 3.
That's good. That's class. That's
that a lot of people don't know. You know?
Yeah, I didn't know. So you filled me in on something there. So that's about something that would be nice to say. If you were in a video game, that would be nice to say, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be nice to say. But nowadays, you know, you have video games, fighters in movies and that kind of stuff. You know, I was born too early to do all those things. So for me, just now be coaching, it's okay.
And one thing I always think, I think it's one of the coolest titles to kind of hold in Taekwondo. Obviously, yourself and Thomas both have it. It's the King of Taekwondo. Could you let me? What's the story? What's the kind of situation with that tournament? What was that tournament? Because
that's what I posted. That's the Morangbong Cup. It's the King of Taekwondo.
Okay.
That's why they put all the world champions over there and to fight the world champions again, and with the Japanese guys, and they came from all kinds of different kinds of martial arts. Yeah, also guys from Holland came from the kickboxing. There were karate guys were there also. They were joining. You know, they came from all kinds of martial arts. They put in there in Tokyo, and they called it the King of Taekwondo. And there were all the best fighters from all the weight classes. They put in the ring over there, and that's why it's called the King of Taekwondo. It was. Everybody wanted to fight over there, and I was lucky to fight there 3 times, and I won it 2 times. So for me, it was a great tournament.
Yeah, like I said, it's an awesome it's a cool title to have. The King of Taekwondo.
It's a cool title with big trophies.
Yeah,
with big trophies, and a big check. That's the most important one that everybody wanted to fight over there because of the check. The check was okay. The check was not bad, you know. When you come back, you have to go to Texas, to Holland. But after all, you know, it was very nice, and it was a well sponsored, well organized tournament. They took very good care of us, you know. So, and that was it famous about, you know, everything is paid for you, your flight, your accommodation, and you can win money. What do you want more?
Oh, definitely. Do you think we'd ever see? do you ever think do you think we could see something like that kind of run today?
Yeah, if I win the jackpot from the $300 million, you can expect maybe that, but nowadays I don't think anymore. No, it's a lot of money because look at our ITF. If you put all the world champions together, they come from all over the world, pay all the flight tickets, pay a hotel, and then you have to host a big tournament, you know. And if you never organize a big tournament, there's a lot more for the big tournament to organize than let the guys flew in and just participate in your tournament.
Yeah, it's a shame though. I think it would be cool to see something like that run today.
If somebody could do it, really,
yeah.
If somebody could do it, it's my brother-in-law, of course, my brother Tomas Barada, or Tim Cole.
Yeah,
he can run a tournament very good. So I think there's two guys. The third one, and he can make it worldwide, is Master Johann DeSilva, also from the Dragon Warrior. He can do that also because he's got some good connections. And then it's going to be on TV.
That's what we need. Help the sport really grow.
Yeah.
So of your 2 world titles in ITF Taekwondo, what years were they? You said the first one was 1990. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was 1990 in Montreal in Canada.
And then the next one?
The second world championship was in Pyongyang. I became second. I lost from Guangzhou. And then afterwards came Malaysia, 94. And if you speak the OGs, they will all say 94 was one of the best world championships ever. And I became, I won from Thomas in the finals again. 1990 in the finals, I won from him in Canada and now in Malaysia again. So, yeah, it was one of the best tournaments. You know, the accommodation was brilliant. The weather was good. The place was nice. You know, if it was the best organized, I don't know. You know, I hear a lot of stories, and if I hear Grandmaster Boss, he did a great job organizing. And after it was a mess, he did a great job because afterwards, for me, it was one of the best world championships ever.
And was there? I've seen some clips. Was there mats and all that? Was there mats at that World Championships? I've seen some clips around just maybe at that time where there wasn't mats. It was kind of just timber floor, and had it kind of developed. How mats came into being in competition at that time?
Yeah, what I can remember, we had mats, and there were 2 rings of spectators. They were like every day. That time it was just run in 4 days. Yeah? No, three days. Just Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Every day, 5,000 people in. Can you imagine? 5,000 people in. And what I remember the most for the competitors, they had in every corner of the hall, they had the chocolate milk Milo.
Yeah.
They had like what you see also by the Gatorade, the big Gatorade. How do you say? I don't know how you call it.
Bottles?
Yeah, the big bottles were on the side. You just could get your own chocolate milk the whole day. They were cold chocolate milk. You can get the whole day. You know, they provide everything for the players. So for us, it was a good tournament.
Yeah, awesome. So then, like, when did then you kind of take up into more kickboxing and K1 or Muay Thai and MMA? When did you kind of transition more into that?
I transitioned in late 90s, 1999, 2000. I got a question from a friend of mine. I was working that time at the doors and in the discotheques, and he asked me, "Can you work with me?" It was a big, big gambling hall. So we were there and doing the security for a guy. He came up to me. He said, "I heard you're one of the best fighters here in the city, here in Groningen, where I live." I said, "Yes, that's correct." I said, "Depends on what you think is best." He says, so you're world champion. I said, yes. And he said to me, he asked me, are you interested to do a MMA fight? I said, why not? At that time, I almost won everything. I did the WT, I did WACO, I did a lot of martial arts. But then to ask me for MMA, it's more like a fighting sport. It's not like, yeah, it's called mixed martial arts. But on the other hand, it's not like Taekwondo, karate, or Kung Fu or something like that. So I said to him, okay, let's do this. But he lives 2 hours away from me. So I traveled with a friend of mine who also got into MMA. He's 2 times world champion, pencak silat. That's Indonesian kind of martial arts. And then we went up training. And then from that time, it was 1990, 2000, we start MMA.
And how did you kind of find that that transition to being a stand-up fighter to suddenly the grappling and the wrestling? How did you transition to that?
I thought the wrestling was really, I loved it. I loved the floor work. At that time, I did very well. For a Taekwondo guy, I did very well. Because that time, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was not that hot as it is now. So we did a lot of Roman wrestling, Greek wrestling, that kind of stuff in the gym. And maybe you know, maybe you don't. I trained with Semi Shield, the 4 times K1 champion. I trained with him. With his trainer, we trained like 5 years in a row, 5 days a week, starting in the morning, and in the evening started training 2 times a day, and then teaching Taekwondo besides all that. So the grappling and the floor work. If you into that, and I think a lot of guys from Taekwondo are doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now because they see the intelligence and the comparison with the stand-up and the floor work. It's nice. And at that time, I was a really stand-up fighter. And I joined that time the Golden Glory team. And that's why also my name, The Dragon, comes from. And at that time, I trained a lot with Semi kickboxing, MMA, because he was king of Pancras in Japan. So I did a lot of ground fighting with him. So I learned a lot of him for the floor work.
Yeah, but I suppose you nearly were kind of a mixed martial artist from a very in terms of stand-up, because like you said, you were competing WT, ITF, there was kickboxing. So in terms of a stand-up, you kind of were a mixed martial artist on the feet. It was just then you had to add in the wrestling. Like you were used to fighting different styles anyway from a young age.
Yeah. For me, the transitions from standing up to the ground, they were quite easy to do, because my instructor at that time, Dave Jonkers, had Semi Shield fighting in Pancras that time, and later on in Pride. He was a karate guy, but he's 2 meters 13 centimeters. So
big.
Yeah, he's a huge guy, and his foot size is 52. So when I get the apchaki to my body, it went from his heel, from my groin protector, to his big toe under my chin. That was how his foot hit my body. And I had a few times I was flying. It was, Jamie, I'm not kidding. I flew 5 meters in the air when he kicked me or he kneed me. I go like, and then instructor Dave was laughing. He said, yes, that's your own fault. I said, yeah, I kicked him to his head, or I punched him to his head with the jumping punch, boom.
Yeah,
and then you see his face. I said, no, not often a guy from 2 meters 13 got punched in the face. If that was my only job in the lesson in 1 hour to punch one in his face, I will do. And then I knew for that, you get punished. Most of the time I get a front kick or whatever, and I flew like 4 or 5 meters in the room. Or if it was worse, he grabbed me and he kneed me. And then I flew 3 meters, but a little bit higher than when he kicked the front kick. But, in the end, it's just nice, you have to have fun when you do this.
And how did you find going from tatami sports to stepping into a cage?
That's and into a ring, it's different. If you used to tatami, what I was, of course, and then you come into the ring the first time, you go like, oh shit, I can't go nowhere. I cannot step out to take a breath or just look at my father and say, I'm thirsty. Just give me the bottle. I can drink, you know. And the referee says, come in, hurry up. No way. You go into the ropes and you think, oh, holy shit. And now I have to get my defense up because he will punch me in my face. You know, it's like you go from open air to claustrophobia, something like that. That's the comparison from tatami to the ring for me that time.
Yeah, I've kind of a couple of guys have said the same. Like Ryan Shelley was, when he was on recently enough, he was kind of saying the same, that when you hear the lock of the cage, the kind of lock of the cage, it's a different feeling to when you're stepping onto the tatamis in taekwondo or kickboxing. And you've nowhere to go. It's on.
Yeah.
It's a fight.
Yeah, and I did a training in Rochla with Ryan. You know, we did some floor work with our great man Zala Galicic, who fought in Dream, and in Pride. You know, he's such a good guy. He's such a big guy, and I trained with Ryan. And you know, when you come into the cage or into the ring, you know, the referee will stop the fight only if you got choked, if you got knocked out. You know, it's not about you have an injury or, you know, you turn away and get a warning. There's no warning. Yeah, there's a warning when you bite or kick the groin or pull his hair or spit on him or whatever. But till that time, the referee decides when it's going to be stopped. It's only when you tap out or you knock out. So that's a whole other story also, you know, and that can bring you fear.
Yeah, 100%. I believe it. Yeah.
You tried it?
Not something I've tried yet. I've only been in taekwondo, but maybe something I'll try at some stage to get that feeling of like you said, yeah, the only way out is to leave the guy unconscious, or it goes to a decision, you know, or he leaves you unconscious.
yeah, that's also that happened to me in 2008. I was fighting in an arena. There was 20,000 people, Jamie. You know, you come up, and it was in the Amsterdam Arena. You know the football stadium.
Yeah,
it was half. They call it a theater. It's half. It's like 20,000 people. You come up from out of the cellar. You come up, and then you look around yourself, and you go like, "Holy shit!" 20,000 people go yelling and screaming. And then I fought with Perry Ubeda, and he also fought in the King of the Ring. He's also a lightweight. He was originally from kickboxing, and at that time you don't get any cookies anymore to fight. They got real men to fight with you. And when you fight the arena, you cannot come with some guy who is doing 3 matches or whatever. And this guy did 140 Muay Thai fights or something like that. And then we did a full contact kickboxing bout. And it was the last 15 seconds of the 5th round. He made the dorichaki to my face, and I went knocked out for 10 minutes. I was laying down on the floor. 10 minutes, and then you go like, holy shit, you know? Yeah, shit happens. It's part of the game. So it's not that it never happened to me. It also happened to me, you know? I dropped a little bit my hand, and the dorichaki came straight over with the shin on my head. It was like black.
And did you remember the shot, or did you have to watch the video back? Do you remember it?
No, I did not remember it. I just remember it just dropping my hand. Then it was black. And then the referee was pulling out my mouth guard. I said to him, "What are you doing? I still have to fight." And he said to me, "Steph, fight is over." Then I knew I was knocked out. You know, people talk about it. You see it on television. You know, people go like, "Hey, what are you doing? I have to fight." And then, you know, "Hey, mister, you were on the floor." What's the same with me? You know, get a dolly to my face. It was like black. I went up, and the referee was pulling my mouth guard. I go like, holy shit. Okay. You know, you get a concussion for 2 weeks, but after that, life starts again.
Well, at least when you're coaching, you know, and teaching, when you're telling people to maybe keep their hands up, you have the experience behind it that they know why.
I can tell. They can even look it up on YouTube or whatever. You know, it's not a secret, but it's not fun, you know. But it's also good when you had that. You know, you always remember what happens with your students when it happens, when he goes knocked out, what to do, you know. And we had European Championships in Italy, and Tim Cole was fighting the final. I was coaching it, and the referee was from Belgium, and she said, "Joe, And after the choke came the dolly chuck into Tim's face. But after the choke, he dropped his hands.
Yeah.
And then he got the dolly to his face, and he fell down on the floor. And I just ran up to him, put him on his side, and took out of his mouth guard, because that's important, you know, to see if he didn't swallow his tongue. You know, that's most important. Otherwise, seconds can be too late.
Yeah.
You know, in the end, the hit to your own head makes you more careful for other persons. You know, and that's always that was a nice learning point in life.
So then, when you started, when you started teaching, then did you take over your father's club, or did you start your own school?
I start now. I did teach in my father's gym, and I do only the teaching over there with the kickboxing, and I start my own gym now. So I have a cool place, a cool dojo with a friend of mine who's got the biggest kickboxing school in our town in Groningen. It's Kickboxing Groningen. He's got, like, I think more or less 300 guys, 300 kickboxing guys. So I started that 2 years ago with the Taekwondo. So my father's got his gym, and I've got my gym.
And so how's that going in terms of then developing world and European champions out of there?
Oh, good. It just stays the same, you know. Otherwise, you have from different kind of places in Groningen, the people come train with you. So I've got a lot of good kids coming up, and you know, for now the kids are the future. So I'm very happy. I have some talented kids to work with. So for me, for the future, looks good.
Yeah, and do you find a different sense of achievement or enjoyment coaching them and seeing them succeed to when, I suppose it's different when they're winning and you're coaching them, as opposed to when you're the person fighting and you're the person coming out, and the buzz you get off of coming out in front of 20,000 people? It's a change.
It's a change, but it's a good change, because I can understand when you say that. You know, I can understand when you sit down and coach juniors, you prefer to fight yourself. You know, for me,
Yeah.
I did all of that, Jamie. I did all of that. I fight in MMA, I fight in kickboxing, taekwondo, even karate world championships in Tokyo, the Hokutoku championships with the mask in front, where you can make the elbows to the face, the hot butts, and you can sweep and you can throw. You know, I fought a lot of styles. So for me, when I stopped, it was really a stop. You know, sometimes you think, should I come back or should I? No. For me, it's the best experience for me is to coach people who become champion. You know, if it's a club member or not a club member, you know, you all got the same goal, to be a champion. You know, and I know the feeling of it, how to be a champion, how to become a champion. You know, so all the emotions within is the best thing. You know, for me. So for me, if you say it's a difference, yes, but the difference, it's all changed in me. So I will never say, oh, I wish I was there fighting. No, you know, I know how you feel when you become a champion, and I'm happy that you have that feeling, because there's no better way. There's no better way to be a champion, and the feeling also.
Yeah. So do you feel like you got some good closure maybe on your time as a competitor, having been a champion, having competed in so many different styles, that when you decided to maybe call it a day, that you were happy that at that point you had achieved what maybe you wanted to achieve?
Yeah, also. But you know what the funniest part is? You know, I fight still with the guys in the gym. I spar with them and that kind of thing. But I told you about the knockout story, you know? Then that was for me a closure, you know? When you go knockout, you have to stop, you know? Not because you're knockout, you know, that's a sign that it's finished. Just stop. Just finished, you know? And then, because a lot of times you see guys knocking down, coming back, knocking down, coming back. One, it's not good for your health. And two, you got already a sign that you go knock out. Just there's other things to do for you. And that for me was coaching, and of course teaching in other countries. What I do with the Dragon Warrior Tour, you know, just share our knowledge.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you say that then, because Tim Cool, when he was on the podcast, he had said that after the World Championships in 2015, where I think said he had an injury in that, and after you kind of came and said to him, "No, look, it's time for you. It's time to call it a day now and focus on coaching." That you recognized for him that it was time to maybe move on and go into something else.
You know, I had a long big talk or short big talk with Tim. You know, he's a very talented guy, and we discussed a lot of things. How he would become a European champion twice. You know, it was unlucky that he didn't went into the further rounds for his injuries. He could not walk anymore, nothing. You know, but he's a good teacher. He's a good athlete, and he's a good businessman. And in the end, you know, he's doing well. He's doing good. You know, when you go on, you go on. You cannot put focus on the rest of the things you should put your focus on. It's the same for me, you know. And nowadays, he's doing very well with his schools, with his tournaments. Unlucky for the coronavirus, for the Holland Cup, of course. But, you know, things go. And I will do the Dragon Warrior tours with Master Johann. So we will, you know, things go on after competition.
And so then, like Holland, the Netherlands team is growing quite a lot. I find that it seems to me that the numbers are growing, and the amount of medals that the team is taking at international level is growing. And do you hope to see that continue? And what do you think that's maybe down to?
The last one I did not hear because you were.
Sorry. The national team, the Netherlands national team is growing quite a bit the last few years to maybe what it was before, and you're starting to see ITF Netherlands take more medals. What do you think that's down to, and do you think that the team will continue to grow?
We hope of course we hope that the team will grow. It also depends, you know. Normally we would have the European Championships already, you know, so you can see what people gonna do, you know. Seniors saying goodbye, or seniors staying, or juniors are busy with school or whatever, you know, and see what the next generation is doing. For the last European Championships we had, and I was very proud of it, I think we had 8 or 9 new boys and girls in the team, mainly girls, but a lot new. So for me, that's a good sign that we have a lot of potential in Holland to keep the team growing. And of course, everybody saw a small team the last few years, and we made a bigger team, and the girls did very well, you know. And I say especially the girls, because they got the most medals. The boys didn't. But Sabum Tim did a great job in Sarajevo, in Bosnia, with the junior team, and it was very good to see that they did very well, you know. And that was they were outside themselves, and they did very good. Also, guys, who you didn't expect to be at that level, they grew, you know, and that's so good to see that there's a development within the whole group, and we hope to continue. But it all depends on after this crisis what's going to happen, you know. Everything's going forward. World Championships, World Cups, or European Championships, they're all going to be removed to another date. So we are also a little bit waiting for that, how it's going to be.
Yeah, because it's good to see maybe Holland building back up that team, because obviously there's fighters who will be legends in the sport like yourself, and there's others, that people there who will be from previously on the very successful with Holland, and so that then, like you said, it dropped off for a little bit. So it's nice to see one of the countries who are known to be successful in the sport start to build back up again.
Yeah, no, it's also like. Of course, Master Jeru is I know him a long time. He's also a friend, and he said, "Yeah, where is Holland? We always compete with Holland, and now there's nobody. Nobody could understand what happened, you know." But nowadays, I came back in 2014. I think, coached at European Championships from Sweden. At that time, there was a lot of movement with the other guys within the team. But now we have a solid management with Vincent Vrijsen and of course Sabum Tim, with the 3 of us. We're doing quite well, you know, and I hope we can continue. And it's all about giving the trust a little bit in our competitors. that they can trust us a little bit, and that they can trust our knowledge, and that's most important for us now.
So you've mentioned already as well the Dragon Warrior tour. How did that how did that come about between yourself and Master Johann DeSilva?
I was there in like 2-3 years ago. Yeah, I had a master class, sparring master class, and it went that well that we said, why don't we do this together? And from that day on, it was like, go, we complement each other very good. Like Master Hutter last time saw us in Trinidad. He said, okay, now I understand why you're working together, or why you're doing this, because I don't know if you ever saw Master Johann teaching, or see him taught a lesson, but he is so brilliant. We were in no, you have to see it. We were in the USA with Sabum Titus in Titus Taekwondo. It was brilliant, with the kids. We teach everybody. So when we came to the States, and then Master of Sabum Titus asked us, would you please teach our kids? We said, no problem. We taught kids from 4 to 6 years old, and Master Johann can teach brilliant, and he's funny. So the kids like that also, and that makes the team really working, and from that on, we teach all over the world together.
Yeah, like I said, another vehicle that's helped you see some nice parts of the world.
Yeah. Did you follow us on Instagram with Trinidad or not?
I saw some bits, yeah, and like what looked like, I don't know, was it like Mardi Gras, or I don't know if that's the actual name for what it was, but
Carnival.
A carnival, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, carnival, yeah. Also, that kind of things, Jamie, will go on your way. It was not a bucket list. We were going there for the seminar and for the tournament. We were going there to see. We were invited, so we go there, and then we landed. We said, oh, we have a small tour for you these days. So that was including the carnival. So in the end, we see a lot of places. We did a lot of fun things, and that's what I said at the beginning of the interview. When you do this because you want to have a lot of fun. You do to enjoy, and of course you want to be a champion. But you can only do this if you are a champion. And then you could do all those funny stuff. But we all put in hard work. We were all little kids when we started. I was 8 years old that I started with Grandmaster Boss and my father, Master Johann Tapilatu. And that takes till now 48 years to accomplish what we do now. So yeah, some people study. We study Taekwondo. Somebody go to school. We go to the school of Taekwondo, and then we do things like this. At the end.
So what places were on the calendar for the rest of the year that maybe have been cancelled now? Where was the Dragon Warrior tour going to go?
The Dragon Warrior tour. We wanted to go to Argentina, but also there the economy is not that good. It's bad. It's unlucky for them because Argentina is a place that I wanted to go again. We were of course with the 1990 the World Championships in Buenos Aires. I've been 2 times more in Buenos Aires before, but Argentina was one of our bucket list things that we wanted to do with the seminar, the Dragon Warrior, and for the rest it was quite quiet. How you say? You wanted to go to Rokla, to of course the Barada camp, but with all those things, you never know what happens. You don't know what government decide, what to do or where to go.
Yeah.
So
do you think the World Cup is going to go ahead?
I hope. I really hope, because there was so much effort in it. So Thomas put so much effort in it with all the kinds of things, the clips. I know, of course, all the people who were working on it, and helping on it. So I hope, because those things, if you say, to organize, it's going to be very sad if it's not going, if it's not on this year.
Yeah, And what did you think of it going to be open to some other ITF organizations? Do you think that would have been something cool to have at the World Cup?
One thing you have to understand a little bit is that I came from 2 times world champion when General Chair was still alive. General Chair was still alive. So for me, let's make it clear, I have no problems with other federations, because all my friends from that time when I fought, Wang Sul, or is it Simakov, or is the guys from Greece, Nikolaiosis, it doesn't matter. They're all friends of mine. If I go to Greece, I can go to him, but I cannot fight with him because he's from another federation. For me, that's a little bit stupid. For me, if you say, if other ITFs are invited, please, let's do that. It can only be for the good. It cannot be for the bad, For us as competitors, you have more competition. You have more different kind of people, different kind of styles where you can fight with or do the patterns with or break or whatever, and you will meet new people, and have more fun and enjoy more together Taekwondo. That's all about. So for me, the answer to your question, let everybody join.
Yeah, it was something I was maybe looking forward to if they were going to be in as a competitor, to maybe compete, like you said, against some new people, because I'm at the point where I've been in minus 57 for quite a bit of time, and I fought a lot of the same people more than once. So it's nice then it would have been nice to maybe potentially have some new people with a different style. Like you said, it's a different challenge. It's something new. It's something fun.
And that's why I can imagine the question. Why is the King of Taekwondo so nice? Because we had all the guys, all the champions together, and fighting again only champions with Japanese guys. You will never fight because they will never come on. And there were some good guys, There were some good guys, so you never know what happens. So that's why it's always good to have some more competition for yourself, with different kind of people. Yeah. And that's why I fought into the MMA and the kickboxing, because I had more, how do you say? We call it uitdaging, And I think Ryan Shelley said the same. I think,
Yeah.
He wanted to do something different, and and he does now. So hope he's doing good.
Well then, like we said, you've been around for quite a while, and I would imagine the style has changed a lot from maybe when you would have first started. What do you make of kind of the change of maybe, I suppose, old school versus new school? Kind of, what do you think of the way sparring has evolved?
Funny, because that makes me look old, because you are the third one who asked me that question. No, I come from another. I come from old school, different rules. The contact was a little bit harder. When you see all the clips I posted on Instagram or Facebook, it's totally different. We have a development within the ITF that makes hard contact impossible. For the safety of the people, I think maybe, but at that time we fought the small Nokia or Macho gloves, and then we put straight into the face, and then you would say, okay, the first time you think, it's really hard, but after 10 years it's normal. You know how to fight with it. So when I compare, I was brought up by hard fighting, and also good technical fighting, but it's not possible anymore. Luckily, I don't have to do it. I only have to teach the new style. I have to say to my students, grabbing, minus point, too hard contact, minus point, bloody nose, maybe you're disqualified. I can only teach what I have to think about. For the rest, what can I say? Did I like more the old school? Yes, but I'm privileged because I fought in that. And maybe I'm privileged because I cannot fight this style. Not as good as I fight the old style. So, but maybe for the people who fight, I think it's the mix of old school, new school. I think that would be funny. A little bit more, maybe a little bit more contact, you know,
Yep.
better with the warnings for running away or whatever, because at that time when we fighting, there was not that many, there was movement, but there was no running away, nowhere that you, not in your brain was thinking about turning your back on your opponent, never, and then try to run. You know, the first time I saw that, I go like, we're here to fight, we're not here to run. That's all the old guys would say, that we're here to fight, we're here not to run. So why don't you stand still or move and then fight with me? That's what the sport is all about. You know, it's self-defense. So if somebody comes up to you, you have to defend yourself. You have to fight. You have to fight them.
Well, I agree. I would like, as a competitor, I would like to maybe see the contact not be as strict. Let a little bit more contact go, and I think it would allow for some very good matches to take place. Like sometimes some good matches are being ruined because of contact. The minus points are being given. So I would like to see maybe a bit more contact, and I think even a lot, and I think a lot of the same people. Like, I don't think it changes the people who would win. I think that the people who are winning would still win because the best people win, and so I think it would just make for a better spectacle if some contact was allowed, a bit more contact was allowed.
Okay, but that's interesting. That's an interesting thing you say. But if you want that to allow a little bit more contact, is it then the competitors or is it the referee then who has to change?
The referee, I think.
Yeah, but, you know, it's always the opinion of the referee. What is hard, what is not. You know, I did a little bit refereeing in Trinidad. You know. I did because of the black belts. You know, they didn't have any good referees who are, you know, had any experience. Let's say it that way. Okay. That time, I was refereeing. For me, it's a punch like this. It's not hard. For the other referee, it's hard. He will give a warning. Or I will go like, okay, if you punch like that, you get a punch harder back because the punch didn't say anything to me. If you punch me like that, I will punch you harder. You know, and there it goes, you know, and then we'll say, okay, then as a referee, you have to make for yourself a decision, what is hard, what is not, you know, and that's the difference between, you know, every bout, you saw it in London, you don't know what is hard, what is not, you know, every referee is different.
Yeah, but I think back to like in the plus 85 where you had Bartosz fighting Sebastian, and like they're big guys, and like they're going to have the punches are going to sound heavy because they're big guys hitting each other. So
yeah,
but then you're giving they finish with 2 minus points each, and then it changes like the match. Then both guys, are they afraid to punch? Because if they punch, are they going to get disqualified? And it changes the match. Where, you know, both guys I think were, the punches weren't super hard. Maybe they were hard because, and I think they sounded worse because it's big guys. I would maybe like to see it go a little bit and see what happens, and not have minus points deciding the fight. Let the competitors decide the fight.
But on what point you for yourself said or make the decision, Bartosz or Sheba did not punch hard? On how can you decide that? How did you decide it? Just tell me, how did you decide it? Because then I will say, okay, you're right or you're not, or maybe it's something different.
It sounded hard, it sounded heavy, but I just kind of felt that, you know, it was even. There wasn't one guy that was way stronger than the other guy and who was being way overpowered. Like it was even. There was some heavy punches. They're 2 big guys.
Who was the referee?
Oh, I can't remember. Honestly, okay, I can't remember.
You know, the most important thing I think is, as a referee, you also must be emotionally developed. If you were a fighter, you know right away what is too hard and what's not. Because as a fighter, you give one and you also take one, you know, and that's the line. Because that's what I think. If a referee never have had a fight in competition on a high level, you know, it's different to make a decision about how hard the punch was. That's what you say. For me, it was not. It sounded hard, but it was not a hard punch. You know. So you don't know what Master Otterson said in the meeting with the referees. Yeah. You know, he says, "Sound hard, minus point, because then it's hard." You know, you never know what it said. You know, so we don't know the rules, and so we don't know the rules. It's also about, do we understand the referees? Do the referees understand us? So what we have now is an athletic commission and a coaching commission. And I hope we all work together to make, also with the referees committee, that they will say, okay, let's hear what the athletes have to say. Let's hear what the coaches have to say, and make a rule. What you said, maybe you have a little bit more contact. Maybe it's possible. You never know.
Yeah, as I think, like, you obviously you say taekwondo is light contact or semi-contact, but it's not. It's like you're trying to hit as hard as you can without making it look like you were trying to hit the person as hard as you could. It's that kind of thing. It's like you're trying to hurt the person without trying to look like you're going to hurt them to some degree. You know what I mean? Within a kind of sport.
You sound a little bit like me. You know, I want to hit him and I hurt him a little bit, but and I will hear somebody else talking to my head, you know, and that's going to be maybe a grandmaster or a committee from the referees who will say, yeah, no, you score a point. You can score a point also light and fast. Why you have to hurt him? You know, that's the point.
Yeah, but like you said, as a competitor, it's a fight. You know, it's that kind of, it's like, yeah. You know, we want that competition. We want tough competition. We want, I think it's in most competitors that they like to, because they can sometimes, you can get that feeling in training because, you know, you can hit harder in training because where's the referee to say stop? And a lot of people enjoy that. And then you want to continue that when you go to competition.
Yeah. But how do you do that then? For your example, and then you have a referee and you start fighting. Then you make the first punch or you make the first kick. You know? How do you decide how hard you can kick or how hard you gonna punch in that match?
I think it's you do what you're going to do, and then if the referee says no, that's too hard, then maybe you try to make a change, and if they don't, then you just continue on. Okay. I don't think you
know all the referees or not?
Oh, I know faces, I know the names, not so much.
But you know how do you know how they referee?
Some of them, I have an idea, but some of them, not all of them.
Okay. In my day, when I fought, I knew every referee, not by name, only by face, because that's the most important thing, you know. Yeah. And I hope there's going to be referees now listening who are like, oh, you know. My father and me always said, okay, let's see what happens. You know, we had a style with very hard job chakis, quite strong punches, dolly chakis, you know. It's kind of a tactic of what you use to fight. Okay, cool. What I did is I start and I give my opponent, I give him a punch, you know, bam. Quite a hard punch. If you see what the referee is doing, he says nothing, then you know, Jamie, we can go. That's how we did it. You know, don't start too light, because you always know you're too light and he punches you hard in the face and he gets nothing. You go like, okay,
you want to be
I did
first.
something wrong here.
You want to be first.
Something like that. So that's how I did it as a competitor. You know, I don't know if it's still working now because we did it on podcast now, or you have to cut it. But you know, this is no. But that's how we did it, and I think also competitors will do it now to see what the referee is doing, and then they can go. Then they make the balance where we should go with the power or not.
Yeah, like I said, I think that's something similar. It's you kind of have you go in, you fight as normal, you don't really think about it, and then the first kind of exchange might happen, and then you kind of wait and see if the referee gives a minus point or it doesn't, then you kind of decide, well, okay, I guess it's okay then. If you get a minus point, then maybe you need to adjust. But I don't think, like for me, I wouldn't go into the fight like looking at, oh, it's this referee today, or I have to fight a certain way, because it just doesn't come into my head. I'm more so thinking about my opponent and my own performance, and then it's kind of, when you get into the match, if the referee is going to have an effect on the match, then you adjust in the match, not beforehand.
No, that's true. But it's always nice to know what the referee is doing. When you have your own tactics, you know, maybe you have your tactics and you worry about your opponent and your tactics, but the referee is not as good as you think he is, you know, and he gives you minus points for what, you know, you think, okay, or warnings for what you think that is normal in your fight. So that's why we always test it first, what the referee is going to do, and then we go, you know. You always have you always know how to fight in different kind of tactics. That was what we did.
Yeah, like I think it's an interesting chat. I think we could nearly be here all day with that one, and on what we think and the referees. But I think I just have one more question before we kind of finish up. Is your favorite fighter? Who would be your favorite fighter of all time? It doesn't necessarily have to be Taekwondo. It could be any sport. Who would you be your favorite fighter to watch?
Oh, my favorite fighter to watch is that's quite difficult because let's say if I have to choose, I just choose Taekwondo fighter. I just keep it here. Then I choose for Paul Germain. And Paul Germain was that time when he was fast as hell at that time, and his legs were unbelievable. His fists were not that good as his legs, but it was an eye opener for me how to move and with speed to kick, you know. And at the end, I met him. He's a great guy, and we had a lot of fun. And that's why I meet also other competitors from Canada and from Argentina and more. So for me, if I have to say, Paul Germain.
Nice. So I like a different one, but I think we'll wrap it up there. And like I said, thanks a million for coming on, and I've really enjoyed some of the stories. You're a true fighter in the sense of the word across a lot of sports. So
thank you.
And hopefully we'll be back training. Hopefully we'll get to maybe have a World Cup this year and get to compete and fight.
Thank you very much for the podcast to be in, and I hope we also have a World Cup. I hope to see everybody. You know, I hope people can travel, and then we have a nice talk and have a coffee or something. And then I wish you a good day. Thank you very much for hosting me.
Thanks very much for coming on. All the best.
Okay. All the best to you too. Bye bye.